Legacy. It's a word we throw around a lot, especially in entrepreneurship, wealth, and business. We say things like, I'm building my legacy. But here's the truth I've learned over time. Most people aren't really building legacies. They're building lifestyles. And those are two very, very, very different things. A lifestyle feeds you for a season, but a legacy, that feeds you for generations. And a lifestyle dies when you stop working. And a legacy lives on long before or long after you're gone. So in today's episode of the Wealth and Wellness Report podcast, I want to challenge you on how to think about time, money, and purpose. Because most people plan for 5 years. Legacy thinkers, they plan for like 500. So there's going to be, this problem with short-term thinking I want to tackle. We live in an age of speed. It's all about quick wins, fast money, viral content, overnight fame. But if you study history, true wealth, enduring families, lasting movements, none of it happened quickly. And one really great example is the Rockefeller Foundation. Another one is the Rothschilds' banking system. And my favorite, the Buddhist monasteries that are still standing after 1,000 years. All of them had one thing in common. They all played the long game. And yet, here we are, an entire generation obsessed with the next quarter, not the next century. Our businesses are short-term. Our health is short-term. Even our relationships are short-term. They're transactional. They're not transformational. This is where we pivot. And it's not our own fault. We were conditioned this way. The school system taught us how to work with money, not how to think in terms of legacy capital. I remember early in my career, I was chasing growth at all costs, new clients, bigger projects, more recognition. But one day I realized something. If I stopped working, everything stopped moving. And guess what? That's not a business. That's a freaking hamster wheel. And I don't want to be stuck in a hamster wheel, and I know you guys don't want to either. So the real question became, what can I build today that continues to grow, serve, and multiply, even when I'm not around to see it? This is the 500-year perspective. This is the long game, the intergenerational movements that we want to see spawn and grow throughout time. So let's talk about the 500-year game. Most people think legacy is about inheritance. It's not. It's about impact through structure. When you study families and dynasties that last, you realize that they just don't pass down money. They pass down frameworks. They pass down beliefs and a system for creation. They think generationally. And if you asked a legacy thinker, what's your 5-year plan? They'd say, that's cute. I'm working on a 500-year plan. That means making decisions your great-great-grandkids will thank you for. Think about that. Creating businesses that don't collapse when leadership changes. Think about that. Building communities that outlive your name. Think about that. I once heard a story about a Japanese temple that's been rebuilt every 20 years over 1,300 years. Every generation passes down the plans, the craftsmanship, the materials, and the duty to rebuild it. That's the 500-year game. You're not building for you. That's selfish. You're building it for them. The greatest entrepreneurs aren't the richest. They're the ones who plant trees they'll never sit under. Think about that. When I think about the framework of legacy, I break it down into 3 core pillars: wealth, wellness, and wisdom. If one of these collapses, the whole structure falls apart. So let's start. Wealth. That's the engine of sustainability. Wealth is the most visible pillar, but it's not the most important. Money is simply energy. It's a transfer of trust. It's like a current. That's why they call it currencies. But it's also a multiplier of impact. Legacy wealth isn't about how much you accumulate, it's about how effectively you allocate. It's a big, big difference. Do you have systems for your money to outlive you? This is a really good question. Does your business create generational stability or generational stress? This is a big question. Are you teaching your family how to manage wealth or just how to spend it? This is a big question. If your kids inherit assets, but not the wisdom, they inherit chaos. And that's why 90% of generational wealth disappears by the third generation, because nobody teaches them how to think like a founder, like an owner. Now, the next one is wellness. That's the foundation of longevity. You can't build a 500-year vision from a broken body. You can't lead if you're constantly running on empty. Wellness isn't just self-care, it's stewardship of your vessel. Now, legacy thinkers understand that energy is the most important currency. If you want your message, your mission, or your family to thrive, you have to protect that vitality. It is the vessel. That means nutrition, movement, stress management, boundaries, sleep, and spiritual grounding are priorities. Because burnout doesn't just destroy businesses, it destroys lineages. Think about that. Wisdom, that's the next one. The soul of legacy. This is the most overlooked pillar because wisdom is what gives wealth and wellness meaning. It's the transfer of values, beliefs, and lessons that can't be bought. They can only be experienced. If you ever sat at a dinner table with an elder who speaks truth that money can't buy, that's wisdom capital. It's the most fragile and most important form of wealth. And if we don't preserve that, it dies with us. We can't take all this stuff with us when we die, you guys. We have to pass it on. And I challenge everyone listening to record your stories, document your lessons, write letters to your future family, create systems for knowledge transfer, not asset transfer. That's a huge, huge difference. Let's make this super real. So here's a framework I want to share with everybody. I call it the 500-year vision map. Grab a notebook or just visualize this with me. Number one, it's the 5-year horizon. That's the foundation. These are your immediate moves: cash flow, business systems, wellness habitats, leadership practices. This stage builds your capacity. Number two, that's the 25-year horizon. That's the dynasty seed. Now you're thinking beyond your personal gain. You're establishing trust structures. You're putting in real estate holdings. You've got brand equity, and you're building family culture. You're raising the next generation of stewards. Think about that. The next one is the 100-year horizon. That's the institution. This is where your vision becomes architecture. Schools, foundations, business movements, entities that live beyond your leadership. This is where the ripple begins to expand. That is massive. Number four, that's the 500-year horizon. That's the ripple. At this level, you're no longer thinking about people, you're thinking about impact. What systems or stories will shape society long after your name fades? That's the highest level of leadership, unseen influence. Think about that. Legacy is less about being remembered, you guys, and it's more about ensuring what matters most never gets forgotten. Imagine you're in a great relay race through time. You were handed a torch, lit by those who came before you. You didn't start the race, and you won't finish it. So your only job is to carry the flame forward, brighter than you found it. Dude, that is straight up legacy, in my opinion. The 500-year game isn't about control. It's about contribution. You're not trying to own the future. You're trying to serve it. That's huge. That's a whole different mindset shift. And when I think about my own family, what I did with Circlefoot, Pacific Crest Commercial, Big Boulder Holding, Wellsprings Unlimited, And everything I've built to represent, it's not just real estate or construction or business. It's freaking care. It's the pursuit of beauty, function, and meaning, passed from hand to hand. So here's my challenge to you guys. This week, take one step forward toward that 500-year vision. Write a letter to your future family. Document a story. Start a trust. Record a lesson. Take action. Because one day, someone will read it and watch it or live by it. And that single act could change everything. And if you're in the real estate space, you know this. Play the long game. Build yourself up. And never forget, legacy is not built by time, it's built by intention. You guys, thanks for tuning in to the Wealth and Wellness Report podcast. If this episode inspired you, drop a comment, share it with someone you love, and remember, we don't build to impress, we build to endure. See you guys on the next episode.